one more way Portland General Electric is preparing for tomorrow, today. Let the future begin.
A medical breakthrough that some say cures cancer. Monday at 5.
On World News Tonight this Sunday, former President Clinton makes his case, defending his controversial pardon of Marc Rich. The first pictures of the Japanese fishing vessel sunk by an American sub shown to relatives of the missing. Is there a new Hollywood blacklist?
I feel like a blacklisted writer in the 50s.
Some writers are claiming discrimination based not on politics, but on age. And a pioneer remembered, a master in the study of human sexuality.
From ABC, this is World News Tonight, Sunday.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Carol Simpson. Former President Clinton took the Marc Rich pardon case directly to the people today. He detailed his motivations and rationale in a lengthy op-ed article in today's New York Times. It's been almost 1 month since the president granted the pardon, setting off the controversy. And as ABC's Bill Redeker reports, this latest move in no way ensures an end to the debate.
Bill Clinton spent the day at home in Chappaqua, New York, while his op-ed piece in the New York Times, an unusual venue for a former president, dominated the political scene. The suggestion that I granted the pardons because Mr. Rich's former wife Denise made political contributions is utterly false, he wrote. There was absolutely no quid pro quo. Instead, Clinton says he acted in the best interests of justice, believing that the case against Rich was improperly prosecuted and really belonged in civil court. New York City Mayor Rudolph Giuliani, who was federal prosecutor at the time, disagreed today, saying Clinton has only talked to defense lawyers.
This would be a very, very strange thing to happen in the future, when virtually every indictment in America would be dismissed if all you did was talk to the defense lawyers.
In fact, Clinton writes that the applications for the pardons were reviewed and advocated by 3 distinguished Republican attorneys. But last night and this morning, all 3 flatly denied that. William Bradford Reynolds told ABC News, "I was not involved in the pardon, and I think it's improper to suggest that I was." Former White House Press Secretary Joe Lockhart says Clinton softened that assertion in a later edition of the newspaper.
The president himself noticed that that was a very poorly worded sentence, and we changed it. Unfortunately, it didn't make the first edition of the New York Times.
Finally, Clinton says he granted the pardons because Israeli officials told him Rich had made sizable contributions to charities in Israel.
It meant something to the president that so many Israelis across the political spectrum had something good to say about Mr. Rich, and that's why I think he took it seriously.
Clinton wraps up his defense by admitting he feels wounded. The accusations made against me have been particularly painful, he writes, because for 8 years I have worked hard for the American people. 8 years ago, one news magazine called Bill Clinton the incredible shrinking president. This week, that same magazine indicates only his title has changed. Bill Redeker, ABC News, New York.
Overseas tonight in Iraq, anger over U.S. and British airstrikes has sent thousands of protesters into the streets. ABC's Jim Wooten reports from Baghdad.
On this rainy Sunday in the Iraqi capital, as thousands took to the streets to protest the airstrikes and pledge their loyalty to their president, Arab anger was erupting elsewhere in the Middle East. From Palestinians in Gaza, where Saddam is also a hero, to Jordanians at United Nations office in Amman and at the United States Embassy there. This elderly woman seemed to speak for all of them.
The American people know exactly what is happening. They would never support it, and all of their tax money is going to killing and stealing.
Such sound and fury are not uncommon in this part of the world, almost to be expected, in fact. But there was an ominous sign here today that the old Gulf War coalition constructed by the first President Bush is being seriously eroded by his son's first use of the military. Egypt, one of America's staunchest allies in the region, sent its trade minister to Baghdad this morning for the sole purpose of demonstrating Cairo's solidarity with Iraq, a handshake that will not go unnoticed in the rest of the world. While Saddam himself was meeting this afternoon with the chief of his Air Defense Command, the Pentagon told ABC News the airstrikes had hit all 7 of their primary objectives, missile control centers, but only half of all the targets. Any final judgment on the success of the mission, said the source, will have to await further assessments. The Iraqis took their case to the United Nations today in a letter to Secretary General Kofi Annan demanding UN condemnation of the bombing. And Iraq's Deputy President Tariq Aziz, on Iraqi television, scoffed at the American president's explanation of the bombing as self-defense. That's stupid, he said. Self-defense should be in New York, Washington, and Los Angeles if someone is threatening Americans there, not in Iraq. It's stupid. Jim Wooten, ABC News, Baghdad.
9 miles off the coast of Honolulu, a robotic submarine continues to search the ocean floor for victims and clues in the collision of the U.S. Navy sub and a Japanese fishing vessel. ABC's Neil Karlinski is there.
Relatives of the 9 missing Japanese victims were given a private viewing of the videotape of the sunken Ehime Maru taken nearly a half-mile under the ocean surface. The 190-foot trawler is sitting upright, largely intact, the name clearly visible on the ship's stern. The Navy says there is still no sign of any bodies. Family members have pushed for the ship's retrieval, believing the bodies may be trapped inside. In Honolulu this weekend, the Navy assured the Japanese Vice Minister for Foreign Affairs that everything possible is being done to find the missing and determine a cause for the accident.
I've got great empathy for the Japanese people and their families, and we're going to do everything in our power to make sure that we have a full accounting of this accident.
On Wednesday, the National Transportation Safety Board is expected to wrap up its work here in Hawaii. A day later, the Navy will begin a high-level public investigation of the accident to determine why the submarine hit the Japanese vessel.
It's a question of who was doing what at what time. People do have responsibilities. How those play out in any particular case is a function of exactly what happened on the submarine at the time and who was where and what their roles were.
The Navy's seldom-used court of inquiry will focus on the USS Greenville's commander, Scott Waddell, his executive officer and officer of the deck. A Japanese military official will also be present to monitor the proceedings. The goal of the hearing is to determine why the Greenville's crew did not see the Ehime Maru before surfacing. The court could also make a range of recommendations for punishment, from a letter of reprimand to a court-martial. Neil Karlinski, ABC News, Honolulu.
Still ahead on World News Tonight, Sunday. Can you be too old to write for TV? The freighter full of refugees. The ship is gone. The problem is growing. And how the police use of a blender might shake up some serial killers.
This is World News Tonight, Sunday. Brought to you by Staples.
Ooh, nice.
If you've got a business to run, Staples has everything you need at guaranteed low prices.
We got to get that contract signed.
Sir, did you order the Kung Pao chicken?
Yeah, it's going to be a long night.
Get the HP 45A Inkjet 2-pack for $48.98. Unbeatable prices. Staples, yeah, we've got that.
Celebrate, celebrate.
Ask your doctor if Celebrex is right for you.
Celebrate, celebrate.
Indoors or outdoors, you should see your best.
Right now at LensCrafters, complete pairs of prescription glasses or sunglasses are only $99 each. Why not get both? The $99 indoor-outdoor sale. Hurry, offer ends soon.
Right on target. Now, Grecian 5 hair color targets only your gray hair to leave subtle tones like your own natural color, all in 5 easy minutes. Grecian 5 targets only the gray.
I asked my doctor about Lipitor. Have you?
Ask your doctor what Lipitor can do for you and call 1-888-LIPITOR or visit our website to learn more.
A new study says more Americans were put behind bars during the Clinton administration than ever before. The Justice Policy Institute, which advocates treatment over incarceration, says 673,000 people went to prison or jail during the Clinton presidency. Internet users are now outnumbering non-users in America, a new poll shows. The Pew Internet in America Life Project surveyed almost 3,500 adults. 56% reported using the internet. The survey estimates 16 million people first logged on last year. In Los Angeles, a fifth week of negotiations between the Writers Guild of America and producers gets underway this week. The issues include residual payments and creative rights. But across town, more than 50 television writers are engaged in another fight, as ABC's Brian Rooney reports.
Why didn't you get gas? Because I forgot, okay?
This episode of the 1980s detective show Simon and Simon was written by a man named Bob Shane, who used to make $150,000 a year in television.
I noticed that it was tapering off, that people weren't returning phone calls like they used to, and I wasn't getting offers like I used to get when I was in my late 40s.
Now 60, Shane is one of 50 writers suing virtually the entire television industry, claiming they won't hire older writers.
I feel like a blacklisted writer in the 50s.
The defendants are all the major networks, including ABC, as well as a long list of production companies, even agents who represent writers. They have moved to dismiss the suit. Legendary producer Aaron Spelling said in a written statement, "We have writers over 40 years of age, and we will continue to have writers over 40 years of age. Age has nothing to do with talent." But the older writers say it may have something to do with getting a job. A 1998 study by the Writers Guild says that nearly 3/4 of television writers 30 and under have jobs, but only 32% of writers in their 50s are working.
We're not.
Once an unemployed writer himself, 45-year-old Linwood Boomer got lucky when he created the hit show on Fox TV, Malcolm in the Middle.
Yes!
I think people have this boneheaded notion that somehow only someone who's 35 can write for an audience who's 35.
And you think good people are being cut out?
Absolutely.
Okay, now when did I sit in tar? How about that?
His staff of 12 writers includes 3 over 40. But everyone in this room believes the television executives think there's something magic about young writers.
The prime people that they're looking for in advertising is 18 to 35, and who knows how to attract 18 to 35-year-olds better than people who are 18 to 35.
The writer's case is difficult to prove. Are they out of work because they're old or because they've lost edge? Bob Shane thinks it's age.
I certainly had a certain youthful energy 20 years ago, but I have a skill and a craft now that I didn't have then.
The last line in this story may be written in federal court. Brian Rooney, ABC News, Hollywood.
Race car driver Dale Earnhardt died today in a crash at the Daytona 500. The legendary racing veteran was heading towards the finish line in the last lap. Dale Earnhardt dead today at age 49. The race had already been marred by an earlier crash involving 18 cars. That crash sent cars sprawling across the track and the infield with no fatalities. Still ahead, the Kurds in France. Their ship is gone. The trouble's just starting.
Grass, check.
Perspiration.
Check.
The new Maytag Neptune with Stain Brain makes removing stains all but foolproof.
Thanks.
Well, at least the new kid's keeping busy.
The new Maytag Neptune, perfecting the art of stain removal.
you think. For comprehensive flood insurance, talk to your agent or call 1-888-FLOOD-ALERT.
You know how hard it is to quit smoking. You know how tough that first day without a cigarette can be. It's time to ask your doctor about Zyban. With Zyban, you don't have to quit all at once. Zyban doesn't work for everyone. It's part of a comprehensive plan from your doctor to help you stop smoking. And it's the prescription smoking cessation aid most recommended by doctors. Zyban is different from nicotine replacements. It is nicotine-free, so you don't have to quit immediately. After Zyban reaches the right level in your system, it reduces your cravings. You feel like smoking less and less until you're ready to stop completely. You should know that there is a risk of seizure with Zyban. To reduce that risk, don't use if you have or have had a seizure or eating disorder. Don't use if you take Wellbutrin or an MAOI. When used with a nicotine patch or alone, there is a risk of elevated blood pressure, in some cases severe. To reduce risk of serious side effects, tell your doctor if you have liver or kidney problems. Side effects may include dry mouth and difficulty sleeping. Ask your doctor if Zyban is right for you. Zyban, you don't have to quit all at once.
Off the French Riviera, the freighter that served as prison and salvation for 900 Kurd refugees is gone. The freighter foundered this weekend, and today it sank. ABC's Mike Lee has the story of the refugees, their odyssey, and why there will be more.
Today in southern France, these Kurdish refugees from Iraq and Turkey were given food, shelter, and clothing. Lucky to be alive. They were rescued this weekend from this ship that had run aground along the French Riviera. The captain and crew had apparently intended to sail to Italy, but went off course, panicked, and fled, leaving their illegal human cargo to fend for themselves. They had traveled for 8 days in crowded conditions. This man was happy to land anywhere in the West.
Which country is this one? They tell me this France. When they tell me this France, I was a little bit happy, you know, a little bit different. Not like same Iraq or other countries.
Some 300 in this group are children. 3 women gave birth during the voyage. We have been kept down on the bottom of the ship, said one passenger. You couldn't even tell if it was night or day. There wasn't even room to lie down. Most paid $2,000, but typically many refugees cannot pay such bribes and have to promise the smuggling gangs to work for organized crime syndicates in Europe. Many young women, say officials, are forced into prostitution. 500,000 illegal immigrants have made it into Europe this past year alone. Some come by air, landing in Bosnia and Serbia, where immigration controls are lax, then make their way to wealthier countries in the West. Many Europeans resent their presence as a drain on the economy. Others have died trying to reach here in recent months, including 58 Chinese migrants who suffocated to death in a truck on their way to Britain. Grim proof of the booming business of smuggling people into Europe from the poverty of Asia, the Middle East, and Africa. As for the hundreds who landed in France this weekend, the odds are that most will be denied permission to stay. But, say officials, while waiting for their cases to be heard, many simply disappear into Western society, and that keeps them coming. Mike Lee, ABC News, London.
Still ahead, the new technique to help prosecutors lock up the killers of the future.
Think Mom and Dad are having fun? Why? They're just lying around doing nothing. Last night they had dinner for 2 boring hours. And this morning they were out on our balcony just staring at the water. We better do something. Yeah. It's worse than we thought. Come on! One day, they'll thank us for this.
Disney Cruise Line. Come, discover uncharted magic.
A significant discovery in eye health may be lutein, a nutrient found in these healthy foods. Now Centrum has the only leading multivitamins with lutein to help maintain your precious sight. Centrum Silver, now more complete with lutein.
You choose to be healthy. You choose to be successful. You choose to give back. You choose to be yourself. The choices you want, the voice you need to make the most out of life. Today's AARP.
Indoors or outdoors, you should see your best.
Right now at LensCrafters, complete pairs of prescription glasses or sunglasses are only $99 each. Why not get both? The $99 indoor-outdoor sale. Hurry, offer ends soon.
I can't wait to hit those links.
Man, I can't wait to hit the trails.
Why am I doing this?
Seasonal allergies can make you feel miserable. Only Once Daily Allegra has fexofenadine for long-lasting, non-drowsy allergy relief, so you can feel more like yourself again for patients 12 and older. Side effects include headache, upper respiratory tract infection, and back pain. Call your doctor now for more information about Allegra and enjoy your world.
A new medical technique is letting prosecutors pursue the Angel of Death murder case in Los Angeles. The technique, molecular fingerprinting, has never been used in court. Now, as ABC's Jim Goldman reports, it will debut in the trial of a man suspected in hundreds of deaths.
Not guilty plea and allow Mr. Saldivar to enter that plea of not guilty.
He is known as the Angel of Death. Respiratory therapist Efren Saldivar is waiting to be tried on 6 counts of murder. But police say he could be linked to as many as 200 victims who died under his care over the past 9 years.
Was it a respiratory failure?
Yeah. Sergeant John McKillop believes Saldivar used the drug Pavulon to stop his victims' breathing, but knew that proving that would be next to impossible since drugs disintegrate as the body decomposes.
We were early on told by some experts that you're not going to find it. You're not going to find Pavulon in the best circumstances.
After standard detective techniques failed, investigators turned to scientists at the Lawrence Livermore National Lab, who say they've come up with a revolutionary new way to analyze evidence. So inside of each of these is an individual victim?
And an individual victim's tissue sample, for example.
Dr. Brian Andreessen began by taking the decomposed tissue samples from 20 exhumed bodies and liquefied them in a blender. The liquid then went through a complex filtering process to remove the common chemicals and proteins found in each of us, things like amino acids, calcium, and sodium. The remaining droplets were then analyzed inside this vacuum chamber. The technology identified the drugs scientists expected to find in the samples, but it also found something else, a single molecule of the drug Pavulon. Dr. Andreessen calls it a molecular fingerprint, detection at the tiniest level.
Not 1 gram, not a milligram, which is about 1/300th of an aspirin tablet, but another million times less than a grain of salt. Exquisitely small amounts of material you can identify.
Scientists say the new process could become even more powerful than DNA testing, especially in murder cases. Since DNA itself is made up of molecules, molecular fingerprinting may not only identify the suspect, but what he used to commit the crime. Jim Goldman, ABC News, Livermore, California.
The world of baseball lost one of its Hall of Famers today. Eddie Matthews played third base, but it was his hitting that put him 13th on the all-time homer list with 512. Matthews was the only player to go with the Braves from Boston to Milwaukee and then Atlanta. Eddie Matthews was 69. The world of animal lovers also lost one of its own who enriched our world at ABC News 2. Roger Karras was ABC's special correspondent on wildlife for a decade, and then he led the ASPCA for 7 years. His compassion for animals took him around the world, from the savannas of the African elephant to the riverbed home of Nebraska's sandhill cranes.
The sandhill cranes will come in by the hundreds, then the thousands, then the tens of thousands. They'll spend the night here on the river, safe from predators.
Karras had 12 dogs, 9 cats, 5 horses, 2 cows, a llama, 2 alpaca, and the affection of millions. He died of a heart attack this morning. Roger Karras was 72. He also wrote more than 60 books. We'll miss him. And we'll be back with more.
Finally, you have a choice for fiber that's as effective as Metamucil. Now there's chewable Fiber Choice. Just 2 tablets a day. With no spoon, no powder, no water, no glass. Call now for your free sample. Fiber Choice. Now there's a real choice.
I love it. I want that. I have to have that.
Now is the time to check out the great new cars and trucks from Oldsmobile, because each one comes with the confidence of a 5-year, 60,000-mile General Motors protection plan.
We're considering buying another Oldsmobile because of that.
Right now, get 0.9% APR financing or up to $3,000 cash back on 2001 Oldsmobiles.
I feel 100% confident in General Motors.
Great financing on great cars and trucks.
Now's the time to do it. Take advantage.
See your Oldsmobile dealer for details.
I started my own business back in 1982. Sometimes the business of the practice of law can take over the profession of practicing law. What Gateway has done is they've given me the opportunity to be more of a lawyer and less of a business person. The Gateway advisor brought in the computer workstations and the server. It just integrated seamlessly with my existing network. The personalized attention was remarkable. It's like a tailor-made suit. It fits my business because it was designed with me in mind.
Come on, come on, come on.
Some people can never believe in themselves.
It's me, Will, remember?
Until someone believes in them.
You are bound by nothing.
Oscar winner Robin Williams, Oscar winners Matt Damon and Ben Affleck, and Minnie Driver. The network television premiere of Good Will Hunting, ABC Monday. Viewer discretion advised.
Finally tonight, Dr. William Masters, better known as half of Masters and Johnson. He pushed society to talk about human sexuality. He died Friday at the age of 85. ABC's Liz Cho reports.
William Masters was a pioneer in the field of human sexuality. He and his former wife, Virginia Johnson, founded the Masters and Johnson Institute at Washington University in St. Louis nearly 30 years ago. Together, they conducted groundbreaking research, observing sexual acts and studying the physiology of sexual arousal.
People were not talking about sexuality, first of all, and to do laboratory research with couples in a lab was kind of unique.
Based on that research, they wrote a best-selling book, Human Sexual Response, in 1966.
For the first time, people could read about what people do in the bedroom.
Masters often said Americans had misconceptions about sex, frequently criticizing doctors for neglecting to talk about it with their patients. He changed the way Americans thought about sexuality, saying the elderly are interested in sex and men are not solely responsible for their partner's sexual satisfaction.
They began a whole field of sex therapy with thousands of people all over the world now practicing and helping probably millions of individuals in the bedroom.
Masters and Johnson continue to author several more books on sex, on topics like impotence and AIDS. In 1988, Masters and Johnson predicted a growing AIDS epidemic among heterosexuals in their book called Crisis.
We use the word rampant advisedly because we think we're facing a situation where there's tremendous danger.
The couple divorced in 1993. Late in life, Masters suffered from Parkinson's disease and retired in 1994, leaving behind some of the most significant work in the field of human sexual behavior. Liz Cho, ABC News, Chicago.
And that's our report. Tomorrow on Good Morning America, the controversial duet planned between rap singer Eminem and Elton John. I'm Carol Simpson. For all of us at ABC News, have a good week and good night.
Monday. If experience comes one day at a time, then why should you be forced to retire? Watch ABC's World News Tonight with Peter Jennings, Monday. This has been a presentation of ABC News. More Americans get their news from ABC News than from any other source.
Tonight,
Once upon a time,
Drew Barrymore is one Cinderella who will have to make her own magic.
just breathe.
Ever After, ABC Tonight, 7/6 Central.
Connecting you to your world. This is K2 News.
The racing world has lost one of its shining stars. Legendary race car driver Dale Earnhardt has died from injuries suffered in a crash at the Daytona 500. Good evening, I'm Deanna Connell. Thanks for joining us tonight. His death comes at a time when driver safety issues are under scrutiny. 3 NASCAR drivers were killed in wrecks last season. Earnhardt died earlier today from injuries in a crash at the Daytona 500. The 7-time Winston Cup champion had to be cut out out of his car after slamming into the wall on the final turn of the race. A track doctor says Earnhardt died instantly of head injuries. He says there was nothing doctors